Okay, this is Mark Moikins from Big Mountain Studio. We're continuing on with this live project demonstration. What I mean by live is I did not prepare for this at all. And so everything you're seeing is how I develop as a developer. Whether it's here, doing it with you guys or at work, this is how I develop. Nothing is scripted or prepared. So let's continue on. Where we left off is we created this floating action button, and you can see as we rotate it, it changes, or as we touch it, it rotates. Turns into that X button. That's exactly what we want. Now what we want to do is we want to, do I have the image open? No, I don't. We want to look at this one right here. Okay, so we want this circle to expand. When he was clicking it, it was expanding out. And what I did is I shut down Google Chrome because it uses up a lot of memory, and for some reason it makes my laptop overheat. So while I'm recording, the fan comes on, and then you start to pick up on that. Like in the first video toward the end, or even like the last half, I think you started to hear my fan on my laptop. So I shut it down. But we're going to open it back up because we need some icons here to put in this view. But before we get to the icons, let's just make this red view first. And that's exactly what it is. It's just a UI view. So let's create our UI view here. And again, when I drag it over this table, it's trying to add it to the table. You see how it resizes it? So that's a clue that it's trying to add it to this table. I wonder if I think it'll work here because this button isn't in the table. Yeah, there we go. All right, cool. So let's get this to the size we want our menu to be. Ah, darn it. It added it to the table. You know what I might do? Yeah, this is what I'm going to do, guys. Just because we're not going to work with this table right now, and what I'm going to do is just uninstall it temporarily. And that will really help us open up this palette, I guess you could say, this canvas for our work here. And it didn't remove it. You see the table view still up here, and it's grayed out, which just means it's uninstalled. So that way I can move it around and not have to worry about getting it in that darn table view. Okay, so really we're probably going to want the table to be this big because I want to show you what's going to happen here. Kind of like that button is going to be our center point, like this. And let me just try something real quick. I'm just testing here. So let's go to UI view. I'm using my custom UI view class, which exposes some properties right on the inspector here. So what I can do is I create like gradients. But what I'm interested in is this corner radius right here. I don't know if this will be big enough. Let me take a look here. Okay, so it's about half the screen, I'd say. Yeah, and it looks like this circle is centered on this button. You notice where it starts to curve. It looks like that's the center. Okay, good. So, and the circle is about half the width. All right, that's a good guideline. Let's try that. It looks like we're kind of there. If you look at these dots, that's the center, so that looks like it's lined up, but we might have to come down. Yeah, right there. Okay, good. You saw those guidelines, so it let us know we're in the center. I might make it. Yeah, let's try that. Wait, oops. Use my arrow keys here to find the center. No, down more. Right there. Okay, good. So yeah, I use my arrow keys to find, and when that blue line shows up, I know it's centered vertically with that button. Okay, good. So we're going to start there, and I'm using my custom class for this view, and I wanted it for the corner radius. Now to make it a circle, we have to know what the height and width are here. Oh, geez, they're not even. Let's make this easier. Let's use some nice round numbers here. There we go. So now and then half of this would be, let's see, my awesome math skills. 170, right? Okay. I did it all in my head. All right, so 170. Okay, good. So that gives us our circle right here. All right, and now we need to give it the right color. So let's take a look at our background color here. Now let's click on this little part to bring up the color palette. No, wait, I did do it right. Yeah, let's click here. Is this the last color we used? Yeah, okay, that matches. Let me see one thing here first. Let's go back here. Oh yeah, they darken it. That's right. Okay, so when you click on the button and it turns into an X, it becomes a little bit darker. Yeah, that's probably a good idea, or else it would just blend right into this menu. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go back to our custom control that we made for our button. And it's right here, floating action button. And when it turns into an X, which is right here, this is where we rotate it. We want to darken it too. So we can say self.background color. What's an easy way to do this? No, I can't think of one. All right, so let's just do this. Yeah, we're going to have to give it our own custom color. Okay, hold on. I'll try to use this right here. So let's position this over here. I'm going to have to use the internet for this. I'm going to show you guys this little trick. Let's open up Chrome. Whoops. I don't want my reminders open. Let's quit that. Chrome. There's this super handy website, and I keep forgetting what it's called. Did I save it in here? Yeah, SwiftUI color picker. We're going to be using this website, and I'm going to show you how it works. But first, we need to know what color we're actually going to be using. So let's go back to our storyboard. Let's click on our button. If I can. Oh, whoops, my button is on the wrong side of this thing. There we go. And let's change that color to the color we want. And what do you think? Like right about there? Yeah, let's go with that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to these color sliders, because here they have a hex color. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to the website, and I'm going to paste that in right here. Now if you come down here, he writes this code automatically for you. So you can just choose whatever one. All these colors are actually the same color. They're just different ways to do it. You know, here he's using the hue, saturation, brightness. Here he's using the red, blue, green, alpha. So that's really cool. I love this website. This guy did a great job. How about if I just grab the color literal? I'll grab that comment too, just in case I need to reference that hex color again. And let's go back to our button. Right here. Let's minimize this. And we can just paste that in. All right, cool. Now, when it goes back, I'll need to set that color back. So I need to use that website again. Oops. Let's go back here. And let's grab this color. Let's paste it in here, and then I can just grab this code, and done. So you see that one's darker and that one's lighter. So let's test this and make sure it works correctly. We started off on the wrong color, so we'll have to reset that. So it goes dark, goes light, goes dark, goes light. That border, I think that is my drop shadow. Let's see if we can fix that. You know, maybe he's not using drop shadow, because when I look at this, I don't see a drop shadow on there. Usually floating action buttons have a drop shadow, but let's take a look here. It may be too picky. Oops, just changed it to 0. Well, let's change this color back too. Yeah, it was just the drop shadow, and I didn't give it an offset either, so that would have helped made it more distinguishable. But I think that looks good. We'll just stick with it that way. Okay, so of course this is always showing, so we need to hide and show that. And a good way to do that is do a transform. I love transforms. Okay, now for this, because I'm interacting with another item off of this button, I'm not going to change anything in my custom button here, my floating action button. This code will be done in the view controller. So let's go in there and take a look here. So when it loads, I need an outlet for it, first of all. Get some more space here. Let's go to our main storyboard. Whoa. Oh, wrong button. Assistant editor. Okay, so I need an outlet for this guy. And this will I'll just call this a menu view. Okay, and then when it loads, when this view loads, let's change that transform here. This is, now I love designables, I really do, interface builder designables. But one thing I do not like is, as you're making changes, it'll constantly compile. When you have the storyboard open, it'll compile it to make sure it's rendering correctly, and that can slow down your coding. It slows down, the autocomplete. So if I don't need to look at that storyboard, I try to close it if I can. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, again, affine, if you guys don't know what that means, it basically means preserving parallel relationships. So, and you can see there's only 3 functions for this. There are 3 main functions, 3 ways you can transform an object. You can rotate it, you can make it bigger or smaller with the scale, or you can apply translation, which basically means it allows you to reposition it using X and Y coordinates. What we're going to do, and when it does those 3 things, when it rotates it, scales it, or repositions it, it keeps the object intact, meaning that like the aspect ratio, or it doesn't twist it or warp it. I mean, you can with scale. You can make things more narrow or wider, right? Taller or shorter. But it keeps those parallel relationships. It doesn't bend your angles of your sides of your object. So that's why it's an affine transform. So we're going to use a scale. We're going to make it smaller. And if I leave it, the way this works, if I leave it at 1 and 1, it keeps it the same size. So I want to make it less than 1 to make it smaller. And basically we just need it small enough so it hides behind that floating action button. So I think if we just leave it like 0.1, 0.1, that'll be fine. Okay, and then so we need to be able to click the button and show and hide it. So let's code that. Let's go back to the storyboard, go back to the split view here, and there's the button. So it's going to be an action. And I usually, you don't even really need to pass in anything unless you need to manipulate it somehow. But I'll just pass in the floating action button, just in case I need it in the future. But really, you could just delete that, and it'll still work. So this is menu tapped. Okay, so how do we know? So there's 2 states to this button, right? It can be showing a menu or hiding menu, show or hide. So let's do this. We'll basically assume that the first time you tap it, the button, it opens the menu. So what we'll do is we just check the if statement and check the menu view. Yeah, that's what we want to do. Check the menu view's transform property. It's going to be kind of like the floating action button when we created that. If transform equals, yeah, that's right. Dot identity. See, this is where I think it's messing with the autocomplete. So let's go back to just the code view. There it is. So if there's no transform to it, that means it's showing. Because remember, when we started it, we applied a transform to make it small, so it's hiding. And then when we click the button, we want to remove the transform from it. So in this state, this means that it is open. Else, we're going to. So if it's open, that means we want to close it. So we want to basically do this to it. We're going to close it again. That's what this is doing. And otherwise, we're going to reset it. So it opens up again, which is right now. So identity means it removes all transforms that are applied to this, and which means it's going to show that menu. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is we want to animate this, of course. So, and if we're going to animate our objects here, we need to put self in front of it. So let's just do that real quick. And then let's put a UI view animate in here. Okay, the time interval that we used last time was 0.3, so we're going to stick with that. So the rotating of the button will match up with the showing of the menu. Keep those guys in sync. Okay, and let's clean up our code. There we go. And let's test it. Okay, that's good. It's not showing. So we click it, it shows, and it hides. Awesome. All right, guys, that's exactly what we want. But it looks like it's kind of like, no, I don't know. I guess that's good. I'm wondering if it's centered. Yeah, it is centered. We did check that. Okay. All right, awesome. It's working exactly the way we want it. I'm going to take another break. And in the next video, what we're going to do is we're just going to pop some icons on there. Okay, so far, let's just wrap up. Let me summarize what we just learned here. So what we did is we created a UI view. This is just a UI view, and this is the full size view of it. It's like its default state, I guess you could say. And we applied a corner radius to it to make it round, and we changed the color, the background color, to this this reddish orangish color. And then what we did is when the view loads, we applied a transform to it to hide it behind this button. So it's a very tiny small circle behind this. And then when you click on the button, we remove that transform, and removing the transform will put it back in its native state, which is just like this. This is its native size. So what we do is we just applied identity to it, which removes all transforms. An object can have multiple transforms applied to it. It can be scaled, it could be, repositioned, and it can be rotated. And if you apply identity to it, it removes all three of those things. So that's basically what we do. And then when we click on it again, we apply that same transform to it that makes it small. All right, awesome. Now, normally what I like to do is before we end off, let's just do one last thing. We have duplicate code here, right? This line and this line. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a quick function here that encapsulates that code. So if I need to change it, maybe I want to change the scale. I only have to change it one place, and I don't have to remember and change it in two places. So we'll call this close menu. And then I'm going to take this line right here. Whoops. And stick it in here like that. Then call close menu here. And here I'm just going to delete this all together and call this close menu. All right, now I feel happier about that. Okay, guys. So that's pretty much it for this video. We got something to hide and show, and it looks great. Everything has come along just perfect. In the next video, what we'll do is we'll throw some icons on there, and we don't really know what's going to happen if you click those icons, so we're not going to implement any of that functionality. But I'll show you how I find icons, how I edit icons, and how I set them up in here. So that'll be a good learning experience. All right, thanks guys. I'll see you in the next video.